Overheard at my gym. If you want a body like his, you can't have a life. Now, as much as I try to stay out of the bro science politics and the bad information that passed around, I couldn't resist not jumping in on this one because I think it speaks to this all or nothing mentality that does occur somewhat frequently in the gym. The fact that no pain, no gain, you got to kill your body, you got to be, really pushing it hard to make a difference. Okay, sometimes people are lazy, and that might be the case. But most of the time with change, I find the opposite is true. I find what happens is people think too big. People think too revolutionary in terms of revolutionizing their lives, rather than small change makes a big difference over time. I want to eventually bench my body weight. How am I getting there? Well, I grab the little 2.5 pounders and slide them on the bench and gradually increase the amount I'm benching. I'll get there eventually, but I'm not going to get there tomorrow. And thinking I'm going to get there tomorrow or trying to get there tomorrow is going to inhibit my progress in all actuality. The same thing is true. I mean, this principle applies across every aspect of our lives. Pool players know this quite well. The fact that where you hit the cue ball greatly influences where the cue ball is left on the table after you make your shot, and therefore if you can run out the whole rack on your opponent. Where you aim for the pocket, is it the front of the pocket, is it the back of the pocket? All of these things affect your shot. Very slight modifications change how somebody like Shane Van Boning can run out 8 racks in a row, as opposed to the rest of us that are not there yet, to say the least. So this can make a huge difference. Same thing in really any sport. Slight modifications make a huge difference. When I competed in gymnastics, the difference between staying on the balance beam and landing on the floor next to it was often if your hips were squared or your shoulders were squared over the balance beam in some move that you were doing. Slight things made a huge difference. If you were slightly off one day, that made a difference as well. The same principle applies to making changes in the opposite direction, making changes for the good. People who become hugely overweight, obese, they don't get there by suddenly waking up and the next day weigh 200 pounds more. No, it happens gradually. And the way back to losing weight is a gradual process as well. This is the idea. We have to think long term. We have to make slight 5% changes and maintain those changes over time. So oddly enough, a lot of the times in my office, I'm talking people out of big changes. Now that might sound ridiculous. Oh, aren't you the naturopathic physician who wants to inspire people to change their lives and their health? Yes. And I want it to be lasting. And so I've had people come in and say, I want to do with all of this. And I think, you know what? Let's make it a little more conservative. Let's make that modification slight so that you can stay on the path. Because what happens is you start something robustly, some revolutionary change that you're going to make. You do it for a day or two, and the morning you wake up and you don't do it, you feel awful about yourself, and the failure itself plummets you into some self-deprecating hole, rather than the success and the momentum that you see in a small change over time helps you realize you can make more changes and actually builds momentum. So that's it. You want to revolutionize your life? Stop thinking in terms of revolutionizing your life. Think in terms of small change in order to revolutionize your life, because it will happen over time. Thanks for tuning in. I will eventually bench my body weight, and I'll tell you when I do. Audio.